My name is Carlene Robinson. I was born and raised here on this street, Jaybird Road, Newport, Tennessee. Growing up in Newport, I've always been aware of the Tennessee Picnic. My mother was a member, and so we always look forward to that time. It's a very festive time. It was a time where all the families got together, or people that lived away from Newport came back home. So it's a time to reconnect with family and friends. Well, as a younger person and as an older person, I'm still partial to the picnic. A lot of times the activities that we have today are geared to the younger people, but the picnic brings out everybody, the young and the old. So that's where you see everybody. You might not see everybody at some of the other activities. The dances are at late at night, so you wouldn't see the older folks there. So the picnic is my favorite. We normally start the week off, although last year, we started, typically we would start with the pageant. We would have a pageant, the Tennessee Picnic pageant. Would start the week out. We would have a brunch, and then we would have it at one of our churches, and we would talk about the history surrounding our churches. It was sort of a gathering of churches, because everybody involved would be a member of one of our churches. We have 5 black churches in Newport, and so we would use that time to talk about the different history about our churches. And then we would have a dance. Here in the most recent years, we try to find venues, other venues around Newport, or even last time we did rafting up in Hartford, and we took a bus to Harrah's. So close venues, we would try to get people, especially that are coming from out of town, that would not have know about those venues. We try to introduce those events to them. On the picnic morning, last year we did, for the last two times, we've done the Dennis Branch mile walk. We did that. We started that Saturday morning out with the walk, and then we would have 3-on-3 basketball competition, and then we would have children activities over in the park. All these things happen in the park, and then of course the picnic. Dr. Branch was a black physician. He was the only black doctor that's ever been in this county before, and he serviced both black and white. Now I just recently heard that during that time that he was a doctor here, there was 9 doctors in this county, and a lot of those doctors consulted with Dr. Branch because I've heard that he was a very excellent doctor, and he actually made some of his medicines. I don't know all about that, but that was what I heard. Now he came from North Carolina, and because he was such a doctor that crossed over the racial lines, and of course it was certainly during that time that there was a lot of racial issues, but people felt like he was a good doctor. So a lot of people, during that time, I understand that people couldn't go to the restaurants, and I mean black folks couldn't go to the restaurants unless they went in the back door or sat in the back. But here is a black doctor in a predominantly white community that serviced both the white and the black community. And he probably had from what I understand, he had more white patients than he did black patients. And because of that fact that he crossed the racial lines, he was, at one time, they invited him to be on the Merv Griffin show back in, This Is Your Life? And it was real famous for being on that show, and because he crossed over those racial lines. I don't know if people actually knew or connected the freeing of the slaves, 8th of August, but most people felt like that was a time, it was a black holiday, even though it may not have been a legal national holiday, but they felt like that was the black holiday, the 8th of August. And of course, I understood it, with me doing research and everything. Of course, we know what the day signified was the freeing of the slaves at that time. So growing up, I didn't really hear that from the older generation. It was more of it being a day of holiday for the black folks. So the reason why was not really well known, not to me, or at least I didn't hear that. I think during that time, and I remember when it was one day that we celebrate the 8th of August one day, very, very young, but I remember that it being one day, and one day that we could swim. But as I have grown older and being involved with the Tennessee Picnic, the community, the town, the county, even the city council, they know that it's time for the Tennessee Picnic. They're aware of that time, and so they know that we're going to be approaching them for certain things. So they set that aside, and some of the merchants know that that it's the Tennessee Picnic time, so they know that they're going to get a little bump in revenues, because new people are coming in town. The hotels, they know. So I think it's helped with the racial makeup of our community. It's just like any other event. If you have an event in your area and you know that it's going to bring an influx of people in, that you can look at your revenues going up. Certainly during that week, it impacts the gas stations, it impacts the restaurants, it impacts the hotels. Nowadays, people stay in hotels. You don't really see a lot of families. They do come in and they do have family here, but as we get older and people die out, then you sort of lose your home place. So, but people still come back because they still have extended family here. So a lot of the hotels, and I worked at a hotel, so I saw that impact that week had on during the 8th of August. So we've got an initiative trying to save our black schools, and it has been enlightening to me that the history around the school is not well known, not with the white community, not with the black community. So we have been working to save the school and to educate our community about the history surrounding the school. So we have had a lack of black history in this community. The name of the school is the Tanner High School. It's really well known. And it's a old Rosenwald school, and Julius Rosenwald was the CEO of Sears and Roebuck's, and he and Booker T. Washington established a foundation to build schools in the South. Newport Cocke County, we were the recipient of seed money for 5 schools, 2 of which of those schools are still standing, one being the Tanner High School. Now it's known as the Tanner Culture Center, and the other one is the Allen's Chapel over in the Parrotsville community. So there's a national initiative to save the Rosenwald schools, and certainly the schools that we have left standing here in Newport, we're trying to save those schools. I would like people to know that once you lose your history, it's gone. And we are losing our elder people that could, and we're burying our history with them. So I always like to find photographs and find documentation, and certainly look forward to this because it is documenting the Tennessee Picnic. We've been around for 60 or 70 years, and we just have bits and pieces of history stuck away. A lot of these photographs that I've collected, but I think that we need to document our history more than we have been. Well, that's really where you learn your history. Sitting around the table, eating, talking about grandmother's sweet potato pie, or whoever made this really well, and they remember the different dishes. But back when my earliest memories are of my grandparents, my grandmother and her friends cooking all night, and they would cook enough food to fill these tubs, steel tubs, and one of the photographs on the back shows that. But they would have all kinds of food, and everybody would break out their specialty. And most people in the community would know what their specialties are. And people that would come into town, they would be looking for a person's specialty because they knew about it. So, but that would be the time when you're sitting around eating a good meal and talking about family and friends, and that's where you learn a lot of your history, is sitting around a meal. And today, typically Black communities, all activities are centered around food. It is. That's just the staple right there.